the facts kind of do show that as societies get more and more developed, women get more and more rights, right? So, and like back in the days of chivalry, in the days of the knights in shining armor, the whole part of chivalry was, being virtuous towards women and making life very easy for women. But the narrative these days is that women were oppressed and women were chained to an oven.
I don't even think chivalry was a good thing. Because
you don't think so?
Men used to kneel. It's women saying we're more special and awesome than we are, and we want freedoms, rights, and privileges we don't deserve. Men used to kneel to kings. That's where proposing came from. And then the women said, no, kneel to me, and the men said, okay.
Do you think that it's a man's job to protect a woman?
Yeah. Yes. But I don't think it's a man's job to protect every woman. So like you'll see these like women getting robbed nowadays and like the men sort of like they're not stepping in anymore. Like I don't think that's their job. But if he's like his wife, sure.
Why do you not think that's their job?
Because why are you entitled to protection when all women have done is shit on men the last 100 years? And men have invented, I mean, I guess you can't do it here, but men have invented guns. So equal rights, equal lefts, baby.
As a man, it's my natural inclination, though, to want to protect a woman. Like if I was to see a woman getting assaulted in the street tomorrow, it would be my natural inclination because I just think that that's the way that society should be. So it's kind of a little bit blackpilling when I think about it, when we say, oh, well, women aren't doing shit.
Well,
so maybe.
And let's look at how that's going to work out. I mean, there was a woman that was on the train and a stranger came to protect her. And what did she do in court? She threw him under the bus and said, oh, I wished he didn't protect me like that.
When was this?
This was in New York on the East. I can't remember the exact date. It was like in the last couple of months. But so, and a lot of men get killed doing that because a lot of women are in those positions, like they're being assaulted. It's like a boyfriend.
Right.
And what happens a lot of times is the men step in, that we call them like the, no offense, but like the white knights, they step in and try to help the girl, but she's in that position because of the man she chose.
Do you think men are the leaders of society?
Yeah.
Do you think we rightfully should be the leaders?
Yes.
And if we're the leaders, do you think that we should be leading the way in terms of the ideals that we try and put forth and the ideals that we try and embody? And do you think that women should be following that lead rather than women having to change their own mindset and then men having to be like, all right, you guys have changed now. Okay, now we'll protect you.
Could you rephrase the question?
So if men are the leaders, shouldn't we be leading culture as well? Shouldn't we be leading these ideals and leading by example so that women will then follow?
Yeah, I mean, we should, but it's tough what the men are up against now. I mean, women make 80% of consumer buying decisions. So, I mean, the whole media is catered towards women. Women have more political power now. We're 55% of the population. We're the majority of swing voters. So, I just think men have very little power nowadays.
They do.
So, it's like one thing, like, should men do that? Okay. Yeah, but can every man do that?
I get what you're saying. And
I'm sorry.
And that's all right. In terms of moving forward, though, here's what I think. We have to find solutions here as a society because we're in big trouble at the moment. I mean, our birth rates are in decline. Men are lonelier than ever. The disparity between rich and poor is getting worse than ever. I mean, women are, like you said, not getting married more than ever. More STDs, more abortions. We're in big trouble. When you think about solutions, I know you're doing a documentary at the moment about the family court, right?
Yeah.
What solutions are you thinking?
Oh, I get a lot of flack for this because everyone thinks I should come up with solutions. I don't see any. I see it getting worse. Yeah. I think you should prepare for the worst. I don't see it getting better. I don't see any data that indicates it's getting better. I think there'll be more sex workers, and we're already starting to see it on Twitter. It's like we're going on you see these former porn star pastors, all this shit. Like you're starting to see sex workers in positions of like political positions. Like in the US, there's a former cam worker that's like running for Congress. I think that'll be more normal. I think there'll be more female politicians, more female judges. I think men will have less political power and less. Yeah. So good luck. Enjoy the decline. But I do think that the only path forward is to give women the responsibility they asked for. And then they'll start to give up the freedoms that go with it. Because right now what we have is we have all the freedom, but none of the responsibility. So we vote the same as men, right? But we're not supposed to enlist in selective service. But if we were forced to enlist in that, just like the men, I mean, shit, I would be the first person campaigning to not, I don't want to join the military. Like if shit goes south, you know, I don't want to join the military. I don't want to do all that stuff. Even child support, alimony, it's just another way to bail out women. We have 100% freedom to have sex with who we want, to get pregnant by who we want, but we don't have the responsibility to take care of that kid for 18 years.
Yeah, and a lot of the people lobbying for those things are feminists as well. I do think that if there was a good war, then this stuff would turn around again, because it's just because we're so rich and privileged and lucky. Like when I was speaking to a girl on the whatever podcast the other day.
Oh, you went on whatever?
Yeah, I've been on there 7 times now.
Wait, you went on there 7 times?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
I love all those things. These women, I spoke to this feminist the other day on the podcast, and she was saying to me, I could do anything a man can do. And I said, okay, well, why aren't you a concreter then? And she was saying, oh, I'd love to be a concreter. I would, but, you know, I'm a little bit busy right now. And I said to her, like, you wouldn't last 2 minutes in the shoes of a concreter. No. I've done these things. And the only reason why you think that is because you're a young girl who lives in the modern world in the 21st century. Yeah. And not only do you have an easy life, you have the easiest life of anybody who's ever existed ever. So, I mean, if you don't understand the world around you, if you don't have a fundamental understanding of the privileges that you have and of how easy it is, then it's very difficult to appreciate the value of men.
Well, how would we ever understand it? When you think about it, like the school system, the school system caters to women, right? Like there was studies during COVID where women's grades dropped when the cameras turned off.
What do you mean?
Like their grades, like women got lower test scores because when the cameras turned off during COVID, because women are just given preferential treatment, even in grading, even in the school system.
But also it's a case that when they're in early education, young girls are much more disposed to sit there quietly and raise their hand and all that sort of stuff. Like young boys, we want to wrestle and we want to play and we want to roughhouse. And like me, for example, I hated school. I went to 4 different high schools.
Oh, no way.
And I was just getting Fs the whole time. I thought I was retarded until I was like 25.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Well, and I've even heard things that the questions answered, like the questions given on tests are much more like answers that are catered. I can't explain it super in depth, but I know that in the 70s and 80s, the school system changed to be more preferential to women. Then on top of that, it's like 90% female teachers who ruined education. That's next. And then, you know, we go and get jobs that are basically worthless. You know, like I had a friend I graduated college with. I mean, she was paid like $60,000, $70,000 a year right out of school to do human resources.
Yeah, it's a useless job.
It's a completely useless job. So we get all these, and you know, and it gives women an overinflated sense of ego. And I realized this during sports, right? The WNBA operates at a loss. And basically what's happening is we're robbing the men with their money and we're getting paid more. So they all have these big egos. They think they're entitled to more, to more, to more. And I realized that that's probably happening in corporate America where the men are doing all of the work and the women are getting paid. And I've even asked guys, like, have you ever had a job where you helped out a woman that like couldn't do her job? And overwhelmingly, when I ask guys, the answer is yes.
If you enjoyed that reality-based podcast clip and you want to get early access to all upcoming episodes, then join our community at Locals, rattlesnaketv.locals.com. Furthermore, if you prefer the Audible version, then you can find the reality-based podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all major streaming platforms.